afternoon. Good afternoon and blessings. You know, I truly thank God for the opportunity to continue to share knowledge with you all. At least we perish for lack of it, right? And then I want to thank everyone for all of your concerns, your prayers for last week, and your kindness, and that really got me through. I tell you, this bout with the virus is no fun. Well, I won't even say that because I really don't believe I had anything. I really don't believe I never felt anything differently. I feel real good now. And I'm just thanking God for this opportunity to be with you today. I want to thank my producers, Sheila and Bootsy, who are both under the weather, and Lula, who is here, and fill it in for the crew that's not, my granddaughter, Octavia. Oh, she's a smart one, totally computer literate. I thank you, Octavia, for coming. And I can never forget this great brother, Norm, who provides me the space to deliver. And does he do an excellent job? Of course, you all know me. I'm Ruby Williams Shivers, your unapologetic amateur. Still looking for experts. They are here. Just got to be synchronized and under one umbrella. The umbrella of, quote, Africanism. Now, along with explaining the concept of Africanism, I continue to explain what I mean by amateur versus expert. It's not easy. I wonder sometime why I get up in the morning and the thought is always knowledge deliverance. You know, it's my mission. I'm convinced. We all have one, you know. Sometimes it moves in one's life when you are not quite sure. But then other times it smacks you right in the face. See, I've been disseminating information for years. As a youngster, at a Sunday school convention, about 13, I think, 33, my goodness. About 13, I think. Am I hearing anything? A reverberation? Through my book, Verbal Healing, Victims of Confusion, Emotion to Live With, and even my fiction, The Quarters. Then my latest book, Why Shouldn't I Cry? Ode to the Black Man. Through services in my community, I ran a cable show years ago called Youth in Pursuit of Knowledge, disseminating knowledge. Lest we perish for lack of it, right? I even formed an organization in my former church called ACAP, African Cultural Awareness Program, disseminating information. So I'm not surprised that I'm still doing it, engaging myself, but what I am surprised is, at this stage of my life, you know, because that's no small matter. A whole lot of energy is involved in putting this together. The subject matter alone, Africanism, and all that it entails. Number one, who we are. Number two, what we are. Number three, how to negotiate us getting back to who we were. See, this is not as easy as if I were a history or a math teacher preparing for our school work every day. You know the subject matter, and you will know the group that you are preparing it for. And you will presume the expected results. But what I'm doing here is a little different. You know, it's a unique subject matter in itself. Africanism. Not that the word is strange, but in the context that I'm presenting it and what that entails. See, for the subject matter of Africanism, I'm not an expert. Haven't been trained in a specific subject around Africanism. Now, I want you to stay with me now, because what I mean is that, number two, I do know a group I'm preparing for, but they are not sure who they are, the group that I'm preparing for. Mm-hmm. So we have to get that in context. Now, this I'm not sure of the presumed result. Well, I don't know. I can only hope and pray that the Almighty will intervene and give me the wherewithal to impart the message in a way that will resonate and unravel all of the cobwebs that we have accumulated. And like the history or the math teacher who had to go somewhere or accomplish certain discipline to become qualified in their specialty, But those who are studying Africanism will have to do likewise. You know, my co-host today, I'm so excited about, Miss Yasmin Griffin. She's studying for her doctorate in education.
Nice.
She's going to be my co-host for the month. She's a beautiful and smart young lady.
Nice.
I call her my granddaughter. I don't know if she knows it yet, but I'm owning her. So if you hear her calling me Nana or Ma Ruby, she got the message. Now, in order for her to get where she's going in her specialty, there are certain requirements necessary to achieve that. Now, I can't wait to bring her on to let you meet her. But likewise, to get one doctorate in Africanism, if you will, I'm going to suggest it requires the same level of specificity for that subject. And I think the, quote, experts need to put a curriculum together that, just let me tell you what I think the curriculum should sound like. Number one, study Africa from its inception. Number two, study the accomplishments of the African society. Number three, study the kidnapping of the Africans. Number four, study the transporting of the kidnapped Africans across the Middle Passage, where millions were raped, maimed, killed. Unthinkable thing. Number five, study the introduction of the Africans, our ancestors, to the New World, when they were brought over here and introduced themselves to a new world. Number six, to study the hoisting of our ancestors on slave blocks to be sold to the highest bidder. Now just follow me now. Number seven, the injecting of our ancestors into a system of abuse, rape, hanging, murder, unspeakable cruelty, unlike any that had ever been perpetrated against any other human being, or animal for that matter, as in the history of the world. Number eight, study the stripping of our ancestors of their language, their religion, culture, everything. You see what we got to do now? Syndromes all over the place. Number nine, after the so-called emancipation, the 200 plus years, Jim Crowism and ongoing racism. Number 10, now we study the impact of all of the above and come up with solution. Then we have the expert. But we will realize that there's no place for criticism when we have not dealt with the problem. Now I remember the quote from George Mason, 1773, who said, "Slavery is a slow poison which daily contaminates the mind." End of quote. Sometimes our actions are directly traceable to slavery. Factors that preclude the attainment of equity. It's the structural legacy that lives on, and until we get a definitive break between those exercises and now, through therapy, etc., we'll always be disproportionate in everything. So right now, I do welcome my co-host, Jasmine. Welcome you to this first, your first time here with us, which you will be here for the rest of the month, and I'm just so thrilled. I'm so excited that you could come. But I'm going to introduce my guest. I'm so excited about this young lady. I don't know what to say about her. I tell you, first of all, she's one of the young ladies I knew back when.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. In the school. When I say school day, I don't mean hers and mine. I mean hers and my baby sister's school day. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Rose, and Rose is
right.
doing well. This one is doing well. I just don't know what to say about these young people. But she is. I'm going to read her bio, and then we're going to let her do some talking, because I'm not going to do a lot of questions, because you got such a bio. I just want you to get here and tell us what this is all about.
Oh, okay.
Oh, your bio over here? I thought I was going to have to go. Okay. It said Miriam Bay is an author, educator, and reentry specialist and staff development trainer for schools. She is the former Newark Public Schools board member and president. She conducts workshop development trainings in correctional facilities, women groups, colleges, and universities, as well as faith-based institutions. Miriam worked in the prison system 2006 through 2014, and in 2014 she was hired to work with those who were incarcerated in the city of Newark as a career advisor. 2018 she was promoted to temporary reentry coordinator. Currently, she is a career advisor / vocational counselor in the city of Newark. She is the author of Broken Spirit. Yes, she brought me one.
Oh, yeah.
I am excited about it. I'll get home and I'll read it and I'll tell you about it. I know it's excellent.
Thank you.
So she is the author of the book Broken Spirit, Let It Go, so you can grow about her years working in the prison system, which confirm there is a correlation between poor education and incarceration, or the school to prison pipeline. 2022, she was one of the winners for the Essex County Division of Seniors. I didn't even know you could be a senior now, Mary Lou. I knew you when you were a baby. 2022 Legacies Writing Contest. The title, Education is the Best Teacher.
Experience is the best teacher.
Okay. 2016, I'm going to let you elaborate on that one.
Okay.
2016, she formed TV show, as a platform to showcase brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated and are now a testimony of success. 2022, she formed Television Personal Development Project, Inc., a nonprofit reentry program for brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated or justice involved. She dropped out, listen there, she dropped out in the 12th grade and eventually graduated from St. Peter's College with an AAS and a BS degree. She is the mother of 4, grandmother of 7, and great-grandmother of 2. She said 50 Cent is her favorite rapper. Go on, girl. She's there with the rappers, see? Welcome, Mary. I'm so proud of you. As I said before, we knew each other from, Elizabeth.
That's right. When I was a little girl.
When you were the little girl, I wasn't too much older, so don't let it,
That's right.
And my sister Lula and Rose, we do a little singing together at one time.
I thought I was going to be the next Dinah Ross.
Exactly. I tell you, we were going there. But it's just so good to see you now and to see what you came from. You've always had you was always very opinionated, and so I knew you would go places. So just tell me about yourself and what you're up to and what you've been up to.
Oh, wow. This is just so nice, seeing Lula and everything. Now I'm remembering the eyes and stuff. But just sitting here with you,
Mm-hmm.
this is so beautiful, and I'm so grateful and thankful to God. Mm-hmm. And what I want to say is, we don't know what God has planned for us.
Exactly.
And when I was living in Elizabeth, because that's where we met.
Yes.
And me and Rose, we were students together and everything, classmates together in our schools and stuff. And I was at your house just about every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so things happen to us in life.
Yes.
And when things happen to us, what it does is it prepares us.
Oh, yes.
But a lot of times we don't know what it is preparing us for. As I said earlier, I thought I was going to be the next Diana Ross because we were singing together. Remember we sang in the Apollo Theater and everything, right?
You remember that,
yes,
right?
Yes, I remember all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And singing was what I loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
And singing is what I still love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened in life, I like people to understand, because now I will be turning 73 years old next year.
I'm glad you tell your age. I haven't told mine yet.
Yeah.
Age is a number, and mine is unlisted.
Well, okay, that's good. But here's the thing. As Steve Harvey says, the goal is to get old.
I heard that.
Okay? And so I can sit here and say that I am about to turn 73 years old, and I'm healthy, and I look good, and I feel good. And 50 Cent is my favorite rapper. Go Shorty. Okay? So here's the thing. Here's the thing that that I've learned in my life. That's why last year when I won the writing contest for seniors,
Right.
the topic was experience is the best teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And why is experience the best teacher? I was at my job, and the young people came to me, and they said, Miss Bay, one young lady, she came to me, she said, Miss Bay, well, can I ask you how old you are? I said, sure. I said, I'm 71 years old. I said, why did you ask me that? She said, oh, because they told me that I didn't believe them. I said, oh, okay. Well, I said, well, thank you very much. I said, but here's the thing. The experience is the best teacher is because when God gives us experiences, he doesn't give it to us for ourselves. He gives it to us for others, for the things that we go through or we grow through. Okay, so I said, I'm grateful and thankful that as a young woman, you're coming to me asking me questions, and as an older woman, I can share with you what I went through. So I left Elizabeth, as you know. I was forced to leave Elizabeth.
And just before you leave that age thing, you know, there's a scripture, I can't think of which it is now, Samuel, one of them, that said age is restored to the wisdom is restored to the age. And someone must have read that, because I tell everybody all the time that this is probably one of the few disciplines, or one of the few subject matter that age is not a negative. When I came here, you know, because we recognize that we need wisdom. I call myself the unapologetic amateur, looking for experts for a reason. To define myself as one, I know I have wisdom.
Yes.
I'm old enough.
Yes.
But the wisdom gives me the knowledge that I don't know everything. So when I say I'm looking for expert, it means I'm looking for someone who not only have studied certain areas of us. I'm talking specifically about Africanism. I'm looking for the expert that will know how to get us back to where we came from. That takes more than wisdom, but it takes education, but it takes an understanding that you got to go deep into who we are as a people. So you're right about the age. I'm in a perfect place to exercise my age. I'm still not telling it, but I got him a perfect place.
That's right. And and the thing, too, is that when we're talking about our history, in order for us to know our history, we have to study our history.
Oh, definitely.
And we have to know ourselves. So when I left Elizabeth because, as you know, I was raped by my father when I was 15 years old, and that was why I had to leave.
Okay.
And when I left, I literally cried for 10 years.
Okay.
And I was always asking God, why did this happen to me? You know, and why was I taken away from my family? Because it was so painful for me to leave my family and my friends. You know, my best friend, Rose, you know. So so I did that for a while. And then I met my first boyfriend, and I got pregnant by him, and I had my first child. And then that didn't work out, because what do you do when you're like 16 years old? You know, you don't know stuff. And then it didn't work out. And then I met my husband, and then we had 3 children.
Okay.
And after that, having my children, I sent them to schools, to daycare centers, and when I went into these daycare centers, I did not like what I saw. Okay, I said, I can't send my children to this place, because either the food wasn't right, the atmosphere wasn't right, it wasn't an educational atmosphere, it wasn't a physical atmosphere. I didn't want that for my children. Fortunately, what happened was, we moved into a house that was a big apartment on the first floor, and I asked the landlord, who lived upstairs, if I could start a school there.
Okay.
And she let me start the school. And so fast forward, I started a school, daycare center, and elementary school to the 5th grade. It's called Creative Garden School.
Okay.
And then what happened after that, we developed a curriculum for our children. This is a school for black children, okay? And I was the first person, remember back in the day we had the telephone books?
Right.
Okay. So when I called in to put in the ad, I said to the representative, I said, well, I want the child painted dark.
Okay.
So she said, why? I said, because I want the people to know that when they're coming to a school for black children.
All right.
I don't want anyone to be surprised.
Yeah.
You know. So she said, "Oh, no one ever did that." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, that's good."
That sounds like you, Mary.
Yeah.
You're innovative. You're innovative all the way. Always have been. You.
Yes.
That's why you can make it. So I want to bring my co-host in right now, under because she's so much into education herself, and I want to hear what she's doing because she's creating program as we speak.
Okay.
Because she just tell us about how long you've been at this school, Yasmin, and what your plans are for it. Then I'm going to go back to you, but I don't want to get from the school thing right now.
Well, first, I want to thank you for having me co-host, and it's wonderful to be here with the two of you. I know that we have some brilliant minds on the line, so I'm really grateful to be here. But so I have been at Barack Obama Green Charter Schools for, this is going to be my 10th year.
Oh, there. Baby, did I read your bio yet? I didn't read your bio.
No, you didn't.
Okay, let me just read this bio, okay? It's Yasmin Griffith is a lifelong resident of Plainfield, New Jersey, and an alumna of Plainfield School Systems. Ms. Griffith is the director of curriculum and instruction at a public charter school in Plainfield, New Jersey, with 10 years of experience as an educator. During this time, she also completed a master's degree program in teaching at St. Peter's University and is currently pursuing a doctorate degree in education leadership at King University. Yasmin is passionate about social justice and education advocacy for Black and brown youth. Ms. Griffith hopes to use her experience as an educational leader to improve the learning experiences for disadvantaged at-risk students. Now, how adaptable is that to what I'm trying to do? See, God has put me with these folks who that without me having to do too much explaining, they just exemplify what I'm trying to do, and it comes out to help me try to explain this thing about amateur versus expert. We need those kind of people who really going to get the education, the knowledge that they need to help us get through the cobwebs that's in our brain.
And guess what? We both graduated from St. Peter's.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Look at that. Okay, continue, Jasmine. Continue with what you were saying.
Well, so you kind of read everything that I've been doing. Well, not everything, of course. There's a lot of detail that go into being an educator. But I began my career at Barack Obama Green in Plainfield, and I kind of just made my way up into the leadership role that I'm in right now. In that role, I heard you mention that you wanted to develop a curriculum that was specifically for Black children, and I think what I've tried to do with the curriculum at Barack is to create a curriculum not just for Black children, but Black and brown children. We focus on the sustainable development goals at the school, and we build our the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and we build our curriculum and our learning around different social justice topics, environmental topics. So we try to create what we would call global citizens, and we do that through our curriculum at Barack. We actually just created a pilot program for the AP African American Studies course that the nation is up in arms about. Right. We decided we wanted to take on that initiative and bring an African American Studies class to our school with the goal of piloting an AP course once Advanced Placement makes it available and College Board makes it available to high schools across the nation. So that's just a little bit about what we have.
That's a lot. That's excellent. That is kind of the thing that I'm trying to promote in terms of we just, my crew and I, we just started a homeschooling, just on a small level. Well, what that is about, I was inspired by, I got to send him a letter too, the governor of Florida, Governor DeSantis. You know, he called it the woke generation, but he awakened us. When he decided to take the education out of our school system and then going to bastardize it by saying we were benefited by it, we started our little school homeschooling for kids K through 6. And what that is specifically to teach them their African history and their African background, who they are. And in terms of what my desire for my amateur versus expert concept is to get our educators, you know, not just not the kids right now, but our educators who can put the programs together. The way I define it, expert. I mean those folks who know not just their history, but have studied as we do. I use the virus as an example. When that came in, I said, God always puts things in my head to try to make the example when I can't figure it out myself. So when the virus came in, we noticed everybody was just so flabbergasted. It was just it shocked us and it killed so many of us. We didn't know what to do. But one thing we did know, we knew we needed experts to come in. But we got in front of our TVs and we began to learn the names of those doctors that they put forward. Not that everybody believed in it necessarily, so I'm not doing a political thing. It's just that for those who did, we knew that we need experts. We weren't looking for celebrities. We weren't looking for sports figures. We weren't looking for none of that. We sat there looking for someone who we thought would have an answer to all the death that was going on. Mm-hmm. So we looked for the experts. That's what I'm looking for, the experts that will put things together for us as African people, having looked over all those things that I was telling you about, our original self, coming through the Middle Passage, slavery, what's going on now, racism. Look at all that, come together with some diagnosis, and then try to create solutions.
And interestingly, I don't mean to cut in, but interestingly, when you look at the AP curriculum that they have for the African American Studies class, mm-hmm. a lot of the things that you were listing off as things that you would like to see Black children be taught about, mm-hmm. they are a part of that curriculum. The curriculum is really, really rich. Yeah. So kind of cutting it off at its infancy mm-hmm. by the governor in Florida, they know that they're keeping a great class or a great course and great knowledge away from people, because I do believe that the curriculum that they've built for AP is very robust and it does exactly what you're asking mm-hmm. For a class to do.
Yeah, and they understand that clearly. That's why they're cutting it off. They don't want, if we ever get to the point where our people know about who they are, we can dismiss the chant of the adage that we're nobody, nothing, and whatever else they want to, burden us with. But I am so glad you just keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, please continue to do what you're doing. Here's the key thing, though. I operated my school for 10 years, mm-hmm. and it was an Afrocentric curriculum mm-hmm. and program, and it had to be approved by the state of New Jersey mm-hmm. in order for us to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, one of the key things when you're talking about our history, first of all, I don't expect you could have a nice curriculum, mm-hmm. but that doesn't mean that it's going to be taught
exactly
the way that it's supposed to be taught.
Yeah, that's why I want it to be come in. I want it to be our thing. I want it to.
But that's why it has to
mm-hmm.
be.
Yeah,
that's why it has to be mm-hmm. because. When I sat on the school board, one of the things was dealing with African history because we fought to get the Amistad law passed here in New Jersey, mm-hmm. and so
still not
that
being
finally
realized,
happened. Mm-hmm. So the key thing is that as I'm responding to what the young lady was saying. Mm-hmm. They have this curriculum, which is outstanding. Right. Okay, and this is what they want to do. But the reality is that when you have someone else controlling your curriculum, it's not going to happen the way that it's supposed to happen. Because
that's why I'm specifying, not to cut you out. That's why whenever we're thinking, remember what I'm talking about is what they call Africanism. It's a new thing. Not a new concept. That name is there. We know them. But what I'm trying to express upon my people, because we got experts now. We got Dr. John Henry Clark, the ancestor John Henry Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Amos Wilson. We have Dr. George DeGraw, who wrote the African slave, not African slave virus. I'm repeating. I coined our situation over the 400-year African slave virus 401. Okay. But hers was the dramatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
Traumatic slave syndrome. And then there was Dr. Cress Wilson, the ISIS papers.
Oh, yes.
So we have the experts I'm referring to. It's just that we got to get them under one umbrella as other disciplines. You know, the discipline of psychology, the discipline of science, the discipline of, we just went through this pandemic. That was somebody who has studied specifically that subject matter. So we need our people, those experts that I just referred to get together under one umbrella and study and set up something themselves as African people into a system, school system. We can get within their system, but separate from anything else, that we will study specifically those things that we went through and those things that we're still going through to come up with solutions. Because until you come up with solutions, then I don't consider you the expert yet. You're going that way, you're going in that direction. But as with the virus, when we looked at those folks that we were here dying by the millions, we knew need someone other than those who were just going to school at the time. We knew someone who had gone, had studied, and now have diagnosed and come up with solutions that will help us through that. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what I'm saying when I use the word expert in the definition that I'm using. Mm-hmm. But it's good what Jasmine is doing, because she's training those young people. They will be the ones that will take hold of doing what you're doing, training your people that will take hold and identifying. I like what you're doing in your prison system. You identifying the issues. You may not have you have the solution too, but you don't necessarily have to have the solution. You do. But there are those who may just identify our situation, identify what's wrong with us, and leave it to other folks to come up with solutions. Well, I'm so glad, and I just appreciate the young people like Yasmin and those, because they got the message. Yeah. And they're going to go forward with it.
Right, but the key thing to what you're saying is what the intentions are. Mm-hmm. You know, do we intend to provide our children with the history that they need, knowing the greatness of where they came from, you know? And when you're saying that we're waiting for these people, see, they've already done that. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark, Amos Wilson, they already done the work. They have the books that we have to read. Because what I did with my school, I read a lot, and I took from those books what we needed to do to create our curriculum, okay? And one of the key things that I learned through this whole process is that when you are educating children, right, you are getting them to understand the greatness within them, and plus, no matter what the age level is, you're letting them know that there is greatness in them, and they can operate from their fullest potential. Because the reason why our school was so successful was because of the environment. The environment was loving. The children knew that when they came in there, they were not only getting loved, but they was getting educated. And the beauty of this was that our students from kindergarten to 5th grade, their reading level was at least 2 or 3 grades above. Okay, and that was because of our high expectation. And when you're reading books by our professors, our professional people, our experts, you incorporate that, and that's why you become successful with them. And then what we put in place as far as the history is concerned, on specific days, they had to come in dressed as a famous African American or black person who was educated, and they had to tell the story about each of them. Whoever they was dressed as, they had to have read that information about what they did.
Yeah, Lula listening to you. See, she's the instructor of our homeschooling, and she's listening to everything you say, because that's what we're coming into ourselves in terms of trying to design and create ways that they'll be interested from the jump.
Well, they're going to
not only be
interested in,
but will get knowledge at the same time and understand clearly that there's something that haven't been told to them that they are eager to learn. So our kids are so eager every day. They come and want to know new things.
See, here's the thing. They are going to be interested in based on how your program is designed.
Oh, it's going to be designed.
Okay, and then one of the things that that we did was when you walked into the school, you walked in seeing greatness. We had pictures of African kings, and we had the African queens up there. I still have those paintings today. Okay, and so when they walked in, they knew their greatness because they walked into it.
Yeah.
And they knew the expectations, like our expectations of them was very high.
Yeah.
I remember when my youngest son was in school, he had to write a paper during Black History Month. And normally it was they want you to write about, the typical people, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, them, which is fine because they're all part of history. He wrote about Hannibal.
Okay.
And the teacher gave him a C, and I had to go to her and talk to her because I said, "This is an A paper, all right, and that's what he's going to get." And so then she said, "Well, I told him to write about Black history." I said, "That is Black history.
See?
He happened to be African."
Yeah.
Okay. So
that is the beginning of the Blackness.
History. So I said, if you don't give him an A, I'm going to the principal. So she gave him an A.
Oh.
But but how we design the school is so important.
Yeah.
And I want to just get back to so I did that for 10 years, very successful. Then we went through a divorce. Okay, and so during that time, and this is why I said when I started my school, because when I started the school, I didn't have a high school diploma because I had dropped out of school.
Okay.
I said, "Well, my God," I said, "I can't start a school without at least a high school diploma," So I went. I went to Essex County College.
Okay.
I took the test and I passed it the first time. And then we opened up the school in 1975.
All right.
So we operated from 1975 to 1985. Then, after I closed the school, I went to get my degrees.
Okay.
All right. But here's the thing. When I mentioned earlier, we don't know what God has for us to do.
Right.
Why we go through what we're going through. So when I was and everything that we do in our life is a preparation for us to do what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Okay. And so when I started working in the prison system, because I worked with Councilwoman Bessie Walker in Newark, and she put me in charge of her reentry program. But then when she lost the election, I started going to different places, and a halfway house called me.
Okay.
And when they called and interviewed me, one of the things that they said, well, Miss Bay, we can't match your salary. I said, that's okay, because this is going to be the best career, the best career decision that I make for myself. It has turned out to be that, and this is why. When I asked God, why did he let happen to me what happened to me,
Right.
I realized during that time when I worked in the prison system, every woman that I worked with that was on my caseload, black, white, and Latina, had been raped by someone that they knew. So then I said, oh,
Isn't that interesting?
that is why. That was my defining moment.
Yes.
Because I was able to get those women to understand that what happened to them was not their fault.
Right.
And what happened to them was a reason for you to become who you're destined to be.
Yeah.
But I also recognized that they was broken,
Mm-hmm.
and they were still stuck at that time, as I had been stuck. And then once they found out what happened to me, they were like shocked. Well, Miss Bay, you don't look like that. You don't look like a person. I said, well, what does a person look like
Right.
when that happens to them?
Yeah.
They said, no, you're right. So now the beauty of all of this for me is that the experiences, not just from that, but from everything, is becoming an awaken. Because what I did when I wrote my book, Broken Spirit, it was first going to be entitled Broken Spirit. But then I said, we don't want to stay broken. So how do we not stay broken? We got to let it go so we can grow.
Interesting.
And that's why I added let it go so you can grow.
Interesting. Interesting. Yasmin, you've been hearing this uh, exceptional young lady. Do you have a question for her or a comment? You don't have to have a question.
Um, no, I don't have any questions. I do have a comment about you mentioned the program design and the learning environment. Actually, I guess it is a question.
Yeah.
Could you describe how, because I was more interested in learning about, you mentioned the approval from the New Jersey Department of
Yes.
Education. So
Yes.
I was interested in learning, how did you make the connection to what their expectations were, and then the learning environment that you were trying to create? How did you guys go about getting that approval, and what were the requirements?
Oh, well, here's the thing. Remember, this was in 1975. Okay, and we got our license. I think that was 1970. Oh, let me see. Maybe 1977, something like that, right? Because we operated for a couple of years without the license.
Okay.
So anyway, my my uh, my cousin, who was a certified public school teacher, she helped me to design the curriculum, and of course it was the regular. It was just it was a regular reading, writing, math, you know, history, but it was the way the curriculum was designed was for our children to recognize the greatness in them by seeing people who looked like them. Okay, so they had to see those those people who were famous, who happened to be black. They had to see that. Okay, so we had that in there. They had to talk about them, you know. And so what I did was, I also had a brother who was a doctor of education, to help us to design the program. And when we had the state to come in to look at the curriculum, what they did was they looked at the design of it, and they also looked at how it was being presented to the young people. So when they came in and they saw how the teachers were instructing them, because all of it goes back to love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how you love this person. Like, I want you to get this. I want you to get this message about the greatness in you, right? And then the other thing that we did, we incorporated music in the curriculum, because see, we are musical people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we added that aspect in it. And when we taught the children, for example, when we taught them how to read, I came up with this song: "The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain."
Mm-hmm. Still got that voice, Miriam.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. A right hand, a left hand, right hand, a left hand, right foot, a left foot. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. So the students would love coming to school, because they would say, "What are we going to sing today?"
Uh-huh.
And then we would sing something about how great we are, right? That gave them that made them say, in order for me
Mm-hmm.
to get what my teacher is expecting me to get,
Mm-hmm.
I got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Excellent.
And then the other thing I would do,
Mm-hmm.
every day I would call WBLS, and I would tell them to play a song,
Okay.
so we could all dance and have a good time.
All
And
right.
we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that we did, we didn't have science in the school, and that was another thing that another subject that I wanted our students to have. So what I did was, we partnered with Essex County College, a brother who was a biology teacher, and every
Okay.
Wednesday we would take them to Essex County College to learn science.
Mm-hmm.
And we also partnered with a local dance theater. So once a week, they was going to get their dancing lessons.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we did everything to make the whole environment one of learning.
Good.
We also had the young men and women, the young girls, the students,
Okay.
to understand the importance of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many students were enrolled in the program?
We had 50 students in one school and about 35 at another school, because at one point we had two locations. And the key thing for us was to keep it small. And the blessing was we received no money from nobody, because I didn't want nobody telling us how to run our school.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents paid the tuition. Plus, we had a lot of fundraisers.
Okay.
You know, John Henry Clark came to our school, Dr. Naeem Akbar, Amos Wilson, you know, brothers and sisters like that
Right.
came
Okay.
to our school.
Yeah.
Okay? And that kept the, and in addition, we had 2 languages.
Okay.
The language was Arabic and Spanish.
All right. You sound like you had a great school. Let me just recognize some of my folks who chiming in. Juanita, good, thank you. Assalamu alaikum, she said. Tavia, looking forward to today's show. Rose, cabbage talk. That's my
Rose. Hey.
Hi, family, she says. And just roll it up there, because there were some other ones. I don't see them right now, but I'll holler at them when I see them come up. Just so glad that you all are still listening. I'm so glad to have you all on. I can keep saying that because this is the thing I want to continue to do. Bring people on, because they will present what they are doing, which will allow us to know that there are people out there working. Because, see, my show, I tell everyone, my show is about not debate. Someone say, well, you know, you should have people on to debate. You know, that's not about, my show is not, it's non-debatable. The fact of the matter is we were slaves. Fact of the matter is we were abused. Fact of the matter is we were the first. Fact of the matter is we was descendants of Jesus Christ. The fact of the matter is was all that in the bag of chips. So what I need our people, and I keep trying to explain this little concept of amateur versus expert. I mean, we're going to eventually, you can hear my guests here today, how they have trained up our people to be the John Henry Clarks of the next generation. But what my show is about, those folks who've already been there, done that, so we can get together now. It may take a little time, just like with our reparation. We don't have that yet. We still fight for it. We're going to always be fighting for it. And this may be a new concept. I'm not going to claim it. Maybe someone else has thought of it. I haven't heard any. But what I'm hoping that we can get people together like our experts to come under one umbrella to create a discipline that would lend itself to one or two things. To be able to look at our situation from a historical perspective and to try to create solutions to get us from one point to the next. And with our kids coming up learning what we are teaching them now, it's going to happen. But even with learning, because I was talking to a scholar the other day, I respect his scholarship so highly. I won't even call it a name, but I was shocked and surprised when he said to me, the only thing we need to do is know our history. I said, really? No, we've got to do a little bit more than that. You know how I am about history. We do need to know our history. I said, but I know the history of the virus. I know a little bit about the bubonic plague, and all that other stuff that went on, but I don't think anybody going to come and call me to help to create a virus to cure what's wrong with me. So we can know our history. We still have not had the wherewithal to know how to get us back to where we were. So that when I speak of expert in that vein, I mean someone who have been through all the processes of knowing what we went through, what we're going through, and how to get us out from under it. And we're going to get that. We're going to get that because I'm going to keep promoting the idea. Someone will decide one day to say, oh, I'm going to I'm just going to figure out some way to get a plan in place where we can, all our experts can come together under one umbrella and to say, we got this going. And once you get that going, then no one will take it from you. They may not be able to help you necessarily as much as you want, but at least you will have the ball rolling. Now,
can I get into the prison system?
Yeah, please
because,
do.
See,
yeah,
that is that was the second phase of what I was doing, not knowing that the Creator was going to put me in the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a result of all of my experiences,
mm-hmm.
I was able to help so many brothers and sisters on the inside. But this is one thing that I did not realize until I started working in the prison system. The 13th Amendment. Anyone who is familiar with the 13th Amendment, it is the 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery and was ratified on December the 6th. But here's the thing about the 13th Amendment
mm-hmm.
that the brothers used to say to me and say, Ms. Bay, you know the 13th Amendment, it's all about slavery. I said, oh, it is? I said, well, let me, because I really wasn't into it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then once I read it, I said, okay, says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party should have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, which means that when you're in prison,
mm-hmm.
you are considered a slave.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah.
while you're in prison, you are working for nothing.
Second coming of slavery.
Anything from 8 cents to $1 an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you are building up
Yeah.
the prison system. Well,
mm-hmm.
not the prison system. The prison system is using the skills
Right.
of those men and women to work inside their system
mm-hmm.
for free.
Oh, sure. That's a purpose.
And plus, they are being treated very disrespectfully.
Oh, yes.
Those brothers and sisters who are inside, they have gone through a lot of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's why mental health is so important for them. But I can relate to what the brother said to you, the scholar said to you about know your history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you know who you are,
mm-hmm.
you do things a whole lot differently.
Oh, it's imperative that we know our history.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing was, you don't just know your history and think you're going to get through stuff. There got to be a way of diagnosing what that history has done. You know all the everything about the history. Know what it has done, how it's affected you. I'm going to be bringing our mental health people, and you mentioned that. Because that is I'm convinced that there are three things we have to look at seriously. Our faith, we're very faith-based people, and we know it takes faith that brought us through. Our faith, we're going to have to know our history, and we're going to know our psychoanalysis that would help us look at all that stuff that we have gone through and realize that we need something other than just knowing our history. See, you can't just know your history. It's so interesting because a lot of things have come down the pipe over the last, say, 20 years that have enlightened some of us. I know it means God has put it in my head to make an example of something. I know when President Obama first came on the scene, most of us, we were so elated, we were so glad, but I was hesitant because I knew that entails something. Yeah. I knew there's a backlash behind stuff like mm-hmm. that. And so when he came in, although I was so happy, I knew to be looking for some response. So 8 years down the road, then Trump came in. Oh my goodness, what did he bring in? Something we had never ever seen before. So, but it gave me the opportunity at that time to say, look, when we go through something and we may try to protest, the most we do is burn down a few old dilapidated buildings, or we may steal a few pieces of bread, or we may do some small stuff. And then we, as African people, because we don't know what slavery had done to our brain in terms of creating all kind of syndrome, we begin to blame ourselves and we begin to criticize us, not knowing when they backlash, their backlash is much bigger. Their backlash is one where they took away the affirmative action. Really, we didn't need that anyway if we had gotten our reparation. took away affirmative action, took away their voting rights, put back all the abortion, a lot of things that they do when they get into power. We look at our little resistance and we say what we are about. We burn down buildings, we do this, we do that. They do things much more severe, much more devastating to the entire group of us. So when I'm trying
we are the only people in this country that has gone through what we've gone through. No other person has experienced the treatment that we have experienced.
But I think God is putting things in our place. I really believe that because, like I say, with the two presidents. And then when the virus came in, it came in and boy, it was just so devastating.
But that goes back to Ruby. I just want to because you talk about the virus, which one of the things that that is real important is how we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, but
how we
right
feed ourselves.
Yeah, but that goes
back in Africa. Everything was natural.
But that goes with the stripping.
And then when we came here,
right.
Then we started getting these processed foods.
But we didn't do it.
That's
when
what
we came here, we were stripped of everything, and they introduced stuff into our neighborhood, our food system, that would diminish who we were, because they were trying to dehumanize us. So we have to understand all that stuff.
Yes.
And even with what came out recently, and it's not getting into politics of it, but the things that are happening in the Middle East right now, that's a signal for us to look at. I want every one of you to go back home, get in front of your TV, and watch to see not what's happening, because it's so tragic all on any level. Whatever happens between the Palestinian and the Jewish people, just tragic. But see the results of how they are handling it. If you see those folks that's coming back from the kidnapping, they are not being met by famous people, celebrity, the president of the United States. They are putting experts out there for them to be met with, because they know it requires what they went through, even with the month-long experiences that they had. They understand that it needs something other than just several celebrities to meet them. They need people with expertise in order to handle them, to try to get them back. Now, if we don't see that at African people, use that as an example of what we went through for 200 years. See, I know God had put it in my head to put it to you, because I tell you that this program that I have, this podcast, is for information and for knowledge dissemination. Nothing else. I don't really debate anything. I just put out the knowledge and make the people see what God has put in my head for you to see. If you can see the examples of what happening over there in the Middle East now, they are using experts. That's what I'm going to be bringing on my show. I'm bringing experts in mental health, mental illnesses, to make you know. I'm bringing on my faith-based people too, because I'm sure the history people, I want the people in history, all three, to come on and get together to try to figure out a solution that will help us get back to the people who God made us. And there were some pretty good people, I still say. Okay, let me see. Sheila, thanks for checking in on us. And let me see. Roll it up there. Other ones are here. I'll be calling you out. I just appreciate that you're looking on. I know my son, Lord, I don't see his name up here yet, but he called me before I got here that he will be checking out. Now, Yasmin, is there anything else you want to say before we close out on this beautiful? Well, you'll be here all month, so you'll be talking.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll be back.
Denise Sparrow, thanks for checking in on us. Yes, and Rashida, thanks for checking in. My niece, I tell you, they're always a helpful here. And let me see where Tiffany. I love you, girl. Thanks for checking in. Thank you. Yes, Denise, thank you. All right. I'm just so pleased that all of y'all are checking in. And Marianne, I am so happy that you could come because you've been sharing so much. So do you have something else you mentioned?
I just want to say, I just want to give a shout out to the brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated, and to say that when how I operate with brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated, because we have brothers and sisters who've come home from prison after 30, 40, 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and one of the things that I always do, like I brought my books, I always bring in books where they can see that what they've been through, others have been through it as well.
Very
and
necessary.
just two quotes I want to leave before we go, if you don't mind.
Go on.
One is by Malcolm X, and what Malcolm X said back in the 70s. He's I'm not in the 70s. This was in the 60s. He had made a statement when they had when Muslims had been shot in by the police in California. Malcolm had to go there, and he went there as the minister, and the media tried to keep him as the criminal.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then when they asked Malcolm how did he feel about that, Malcolm said, being a criminal is not the crime. He said remaining the criminal is the crime. Okay, and then the other quote is by 50 Cent.
Okay.
50 Cent says that he would not be who he is today if it were not for what he went through, and he is not embarrassed by that. There's a lot of things when you were talking about being embarrassed and everything in our past. See, all of us have something that we have to go through, or we have to grow through, and when we go through it and we use that knowledge, as you're talking about doing, using that knowledge to help people, to inspire people to live their best life, which would be for us, then everything that you're talking about is going to come together, because each of us have something that we were sent here to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And again, if we don't understand and make it clear that we know we need something as deep and special as those folks that they're dealing with in the Middle East right now, and that's a great example. It's not just there for no reason. It's for us to see that if there's a specialty needed for those people, we've gone through something much worse than anyone in the annals of history. So something should tell us that we need the same kind of attention on a special, in a special way. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or ways around that. We need something, and I will be bringing folks on my show that will tell us, give us some clarity of how we can best define it, so people will know exactly what we mean when we say there's something other than just having to know what this is or to know yourself. I can know, we talk about how we have been misled in our beauty. Some of us don't even like the way we look, don't like our dark skin, don't like our kinky hair, don't like, that's it's not that we decided that. It was done. And if we don't need someone to help us clear that, we wouldn't have a discipline called mental illness. We wouldn't have a discipline called brainwashing. As the brother from my brother, Professor Califani said, brain dirtying. There's things that have happened to us as human beings that need to be corrected, and we got to get that. And so in the meantime, I'm going to have our guest on like what we have today. Just got so much information. So much great information, and we're going to get there. But in the meantime, you experts out there, you all got a job to do. You got to get together under one umbrella and come up with a way that you can be as effective as those folks who are going to help those people that's coming out of their situation in the Middle East. The same way people helped us come through the virus. The same way we know we need that, okay? But right now, I thank God for you all. Thanks for your prayers. And I will see you next week. I have a great guest coming up next week. I don't know exactly. I won't put out any name right now because it hadn't been confirmed. But I declare that you're going to be pleased. So just keep on watching, and I appreciate your mirror. I'm going to have you back again. And my month, my host for the month, Tiffany. I'm so excited for you.
Nice meeting you, Tiffany.
Yasmin.
Oh, Yasmin. I'm sorry. It's nice
I
meeting
think that's
you,
where I'm
Yasmin.
getting it from.
Nice meeting you also. Thank you for having me.
I'll say goodbye to everyone out there. We'll see you next week.
Bye.